The 1940s were a time of significant change in the American auto industry, marked by a shift away from wartime production and back to consumer vehicles. The decade was marked by innovative designs and new technologies, but it also produced some cars that left much to be desired. Here are 15 of the worst and dumbest American cars of the 1940s, showcasing the mistakes, poor designs, and engineering failures that made these cars infamous.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 15. The 1947 Pontiac Torpedo was an example of a pre-war design that was revived after World War II with minimal updates, which led to its downfall in a rapidly modernizing automotive market. While it was one of the larger models in Pontiac's lineup, the Torpedo suffered from numerous issues, including poor handling, excessive fuel consumption, and an outdated design. As newer, more efficient cars emerged, the Torpedo quickly fell out of favor. The Pontiac Torpedo was essentially a continuation of the pre-war model first introduced in the early 1940s. In an era when car buyers were seeking fresh, innovative designs, the Torpedo's dated appearance didn't appeal to the post-war consumer. The Torpedo featured a large, heavy body with styling that was more functional than elegant. While some cars of the era embraced streamlined aerodynamic shapes, the Torpedo remained boxy and clunky. Its wide fenders, tall roofline, and long overhangs made it look like a relic from the past. Competitors like Ford and Chevrolet were introducing sleeker, more attractive models that resonated with post-war buyers looking for a sense of modernity. In contrast, the Torpedo's lack of fresh design elements made it feel out of place in a market that was rapidly evolving. One of the key criticisms of the 1947 Torpedo was its size. While it was marketed as a spacious and comfortable car, its large dimensions made it difficult to maneuver, especially in tight urban environments. The Torpedo's weight, combined with its old-fashioned chassis and suspension setup, led to poor handling. It felt sluggish on the road, with slow, unresponsive steering that made it a chore to drive. While the car was designed to provide a comfortable ride, the soft suspension didn't do much to help its cornering or handling. The Torpedo felt floaty and imprecise when driven at higher speeds, which was a significant drawback in an era when smoother and more controlled driving dynamics were becoming increasingly important to consumers. The 1947 Pontiac Torpedo came equipped with a 239 cubic inch 3.9-liter flathead inline, 6 engine producing around 90 horsepower, which was underpowered for a car of its size and weight. The engine struggled to deliver sufficient power for the car's bulk, resulting in slow acceleration and an overall lack of performance. Drivers often complained that the Torpedo felt lethargic, especially when carrying passengers or driving uphill. Due to its size and the inefficiency of its engine, the Torpedo guzzled fuel at a time when buyers were beginning to look for more economical vehicles. Its poor fuel efficiency made it less appealing, especially as more modern, efficient cars became available. One of the few advantages of the Pontiac Torpedo was its interior space. It offered ample room for passengers, particularly in the rear, making it a suitable family car. However, this space didn't come with the refinement that buyers expected from a car of this size. The Torpedo's interior, while functional, lacked the luxury or sophistication seen in other post-war models. It was simple and utilitarian, with basic materials and finishes that felt out of step with the more polished offerings from competitors. Despite its size, the car's ride quality was not as smooth as expected. The suspension, while soft, didn't do enough to absorb road imperfections, leading to a ride that felt bouncy and unsettled on uneven surfaces. The post-war automotive market was fiercely competitive, with brands like Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler introducing newer, more advanced cars that embraced the optimism and technological advancements of the time. The Pontiac Torpedo, with its recycled design and lack of innovation, struggled to keep up. As manufacturers began rolling out more modern cars with sleeker designs, more powerful engines, and better handling, the Torpedo was quickly overshadowed. Its large size and lackluster performance were no match for competitors that offered more style and substance at similar price points. Due to its outdated design and unremarkable performance, the 1947 Pontiac Torpedo saw declining sales as consumers turned to newer models. Buyers were looking for vehicles that reflected the optimism and forward thinking of the post-war era, and the Torpedo simply didn't meet those expectations. The 1947 Pontiac Torpedo was a car that failed to adapt to the changing tastes and expectations of the post-war automotive market. With its large, cumbersome design, poor handling, and weak performance, the Torpedo quickly became outdated as more modern cars with better styling and performance entered the scene. Its recycled pre-war design and lack of innovation made it a less desirable choice for buyers seeking something fresh and exciting in the years following World War II. As a result, the Torpedo was quickly overshadowed and remains a largely forgotten model in automotive history. Number 14. The 1949 Plymouth Suburban was Plymouth's entry into the station wagon market during the post-war era. While station wagons were gaining popularity among families and businesses for their practicality, the Plymouth Suburban fell short of expectations. It featured awkward proportions, lacked innovation, and was plagued by mechanical issues that diminished its appeal. Its utilitarian nature wasn't enough to make it stand out, and it was quickly overshadowed by more refined competitors. One of the key criticisms of the 1949 Plymouth Suburban was its ungainly appearance. Unlike the more streamlined and elegant designs that were becoming popular in the late 1940s, the Suburban looked utilitarian and boxy. The front end of the Suburban was bulky and uninspired, with a large flat grille and an overall design that felt clunky and old-fashioned. The hood was relatively short in comparison to the rest of the car, giving it an unbalanced look. The station wagon body style of the Suburban didn't have the graceful lines seen in more premium models of the time. It had a tall, box-like rear section that, while functional for cargo space, lacked the aesthetic appeal that many consumers were looking for in a family car. The 1949 Plymouth Suburban was powered by a 217 cubic inch, 3.6-liter inline-six engine that produced around 95 horsepower. While this engine was adequate for smaller Plymouth sedans, it struggled to provide enough power for the heavier station wagon body. The Suburban's engine was underpowered for its size, making acceleration sluggish and highway driving a challenge. It didn't have the power necessary for a car intended to carry multiple passengers and cargo, which frustrated buyers. The combination of the Suburban's weight and weak engine also led to poor fuel efficiency, which was a significant drawback at a time when buyers were beginning to expect more economical cars. In addition to its lackluster performance, the Plymouth Suburban was notorious for reliability issues. Early owners reported frequent mechanical failures, particularly related to the engine and transmission. The engine's lack of power, combined with subpar engineering, resulted in frequent breakdowns. The transmission was also known for being finicky, with many reports of shifting problems and failure over time. The overall build quality of the Suburban was inconsistent, with issues ranging from faulty electrical components to poorly fitted body panels. This lack of attention to detail hurt the car's reputation and led to dissatisfaction among owners. The interior of the 1949 Plymouth Suburban was functional but far from luxurious. It was designed with practicality in mind, which was fine for a utilitarian station wagon, but it lacked the comfort and refinement that buyers in this segment were beginning to expect. The Suburban's interior was sparse, with basic materials and minimal features. It didn't offer much in the way of creature comforts, which made it feel more like a commercial vehicle than a family car. The seating in the Suburban was adequate, but not particularly comfortable for long trips. The basic bench seats lacked support, and the interior materials felt cheap compared to more upscale models. One of the few positives of the Plymouth Suburban was its cargo capacity. The station wagon body style allowed for a generous amount of storage space in the rear, making it practical for families or small businesses. However, the usability of that space was hindered by poor design choices. The rear cargo area was difficult to access, with a heavy rear gate and awkward loading height. This made it less convenient for everyday use, especially when compared to other station wagons with better thought-out designs. The 1949 Plymouth Suburban could have capitalized on the growing popularity of station wagons in post-war America, but it missed the mark due to its uninspired design and poor performance. The station wagon segment was becoming an important part of the automotive market, especially among families. But the Suburban didn't offer the style, comfort, or reliability that buyers were looking for. Over time, the 1949 Plymouth Suburban faded into obscurity, remembered mostly as a utilitarian, underwhelming vehicle. It didn't make a significant impact on Plymouth's overall success and was quickly forgotten as more competitive models took its place in the market. The 1949 Plymouth Suburban was a station wagon that failed to make a lasting impression due to its awkward proportions, underpowered engine, and frequent mechanical problems. While it had the potential to be a practical vehicle for families and businesses, its uninspired design and lack of innovation kept it from standing out in a rapidly changing market. As a result, the Suburban was quickly overshadowed by more refined and reliable competitors, and it remains a largely forgotten model in Plymouth's history. Number 13. The 1949 Nash 600 was one of the first cars to utilize unibody construction, a significant technological advancement for its time. While this made the car lighter and more fuel-efficient, its design and execution left much to be desired. The Nash 600 suffered from odd styling, cramped interior space, and poor road performance, which overshadowed its technical innovations. Despite being ahead of its time in some respects, the Nash 600 ultimately failed to capture the hearts of buyers due to these shortcomings. The styling of the Nash 600 was one of its major drawbacks. It featured a bulbous, rounded design that looked more like a bathtub on wheels than a sleek, modern car. Its proportions were awkward, with a high belt line, small windows, and a curved, domed roof that gave it an unattractive and ungainly silhouette. The front of the car had a heavy, protruding grille that made the car look bulky and unrefined. The small, round headlights and the oversized front bumper only added to the Nash 600's unattractive appearance, making it look outdated even when it was new. In 1949, car buyers were looking for sleek, modern designs that conveyed progress and optimism in the post-war era. The Nash 600, with its awkward proportions and clunky styling, seemed stuck in the past, failing to meet the aesthetic expectations of the time. One of the biggest criticisms of the Nash 600 was its cramped interior. Despite its relatively large exterior size, the car's unibody design didn't translate into more usable interior space. The rounded roofline and high floor design resulted in limited headroom and legroom, making the cabin feel tight and uncomfortable for passengers. The rear seats in particular were notably small, and taller passengers often found themselves cramped and uncomfortable. The interior design was also plain and lacking in features, making it feel more like an economy car than something innovative. The materials used were basic and unrefined, further diminishing the car's overall appeal. Despite its unibody construction, which was supposed to improve performance and efficiency, the Nash 600 failed to impress on the road. It was powered by a 3.8-liter inline-six engine producing about 82 horsepower, which wasn't enough to make the car feel lively or responsive. The Nash 600 was sluggish off the line and struggled to provide the kind of performance that buyers expected in 1949. Its engine, while efficient for fuel economy, lacked the power needed for quick acceleration or comfortable highway cruising. The car's handling was also disappointing. The unibody design made the car lighter, but it didn't improve its agility. The Nash 600 felt top-heavy and had a tendency to lean in turns, making it feel unstable at higher speeds. Its vague steering and soft suspension didn't inspire confidence on the road, leading to an overall poor driving experience. While the Nash 600 was technically more fuel-efficient than many of its competitors, this wasn't enough to outweigh its other issues. The car's poor performance, awkward design, and lack of comfort meant that most buyers were willing to sacrifice a bit of fuel economy in exchange for a more enjoyable driving experience. A footnote in automotive. The Nash 600 is often remembered more for its unibody construction than for anything else. It was a car that was ahead of its time in terms of engineering, but behind in terms of design and execution. While Nash deserves credit for pioneering unibody construction, the 600 itself is often regarded as a missed opportunity, The failure of the Nash 600 to capture the market was part of a broader trend of Nash losing ground to its competitors. The company would eventually merge with Hudson to form American Motors Corporation, AMC, but it never fully regained its position as a major player in the automotive industry. The 1949 Nash 600 was a car that combined technical innovation with poor execution. While its unibody construction was a step forward in automotive engineering, its awkward design, cramped interior, and underwhelming performance kept it from being a success. The Nash 600's failure to deliver a well-rounded package hurt its reputation, and it quickly faded into obscurity as more stylish and better-performing cars dominated the market. Despite its engineering advancements, the Nash 600 remains more of a footnote in automotive history than a celebrated model. Number 12. The 1949 Ford Prefect, imported from the UK, was designed as an economical and compact car for the British market. However, when introduced to the US, it struggled to meet the needs and expectations of American drivers. Its small size, weak engine, and lack of features made it poorly suited for the larger roads and driving conditions in the US, where consumers were more accustomed to larger, more powerful cars. The Ford Prefect was a compact car by British standards, but in the US it was considered far too small. Its narrow body and short wheelbase made it look out of place on American highways, where larger vehicles dominated. The Prefect's diminutive size also meant it offered very little in terms of interior space, which was a significant drawback for American buyers who valued roomy, comfortable cars. The Prefect's design was plain and utilitarian, with none of the flash or modern flair that American cars of the late 1940s were starting to adopt. Its boxy shape, small grille, and basic headlight design made it blend into the background, while more stylish domestic cars from Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler drew the attention of consumers. The Ford Prefect was equipped with a 1.2-liter inline-4 engine that produced a meager 30 horsepower. While this might have been acceptable for driving in the UK's narrower streets and slower speeds, it was completely inadequate for the US. With only 30 horsepower, the Prefect struggled to maintain highway speeds on the larger, faster American roads. Its lack of power made merging into traffic and climbing hills a challenge, and the car was easily outpaced by the more powerful American vehicles of the time. The Prefect's engine also delivered slow acceleration, making it feel sluggish and unresponsive. American drivers, who were used to larger V6 and V8 engines, found the Prefect's performance frustrating, especially for longer drives. The Prefect was designed for the narrower, slower roads of the UK, where compact size and fuel efficiency were priorities. However, in the US, with its sprawling highway system and longer driving distances, the Prefect's limited power and small size became major disadvantages. The car's small size and light weight made it feel unstable at higher speeds, which was a problem on American highways where sustained speeds over 55 miles per hour were common. Its narrow wheelbase and basic suspension also resulted in a rough and uncomfortable ride, particularly on uneven or unpaved roads, which were still prevalent in rural areas of the US at the time. The Prefect's small cabin offered little in terms of comfort. The seating was cramped, and there wasn't much legroom or headroom for passengers. This made the car impractical for families or anyone who needed to carry more than one or two passengers comfortably. In 1949, the Ford Prefect faced stiff competition from domestic manufacturers who offered larger, more powerful, and more comfortable cars at affordable prices. For example, Ford's own lineup included models like the Ford Deluxe and the Ford Custom, both of which were much more suited to American tastes and driving conditions. Chevrolet offered the 1949 Chevrolet Deluxe, which was a bigger, more powerful car with a more stylish design. It had a more robust engine and was better equipped for the longer driving distances common in the US. Plymouth's Special Deluxe was another competitor that outperformed the Prefect in every way. It offered a larger, more comfortable cabin, better road performance, and a more refined design, making it much more appealing to American buyers. The Ford Prefect struggled to find a place in the US market. Its small size, underpowered engine, and lack of comfort made it unappealing to American buyers, and as a result, sales were dismal. American consumers were more interested in the powerful, stylish, and spacious cars that were being produced domestically, and the Prefect was quickly overshadowed. The 1949 Ford Prefect was a car that may have been well suited to the needs of British drivers, but failed to translate to the American market. Its small size, weak engine, and impracticality for long-distance driving made it a poor fit for U.S. roads and driving styles. With more powerful, comfortable, and stylish domestic options available, the Prefect was quickly forgotten, leaving it as an example of how a car that works in one market may not necessarily succeed in another. Number 11. The 1948 Fraser Vagabond was part of Fraser's attempt to innovate in the post-war automotive market with its unique hatchback design. However, this model failed to resonate with buyers of the time, leading to a lackluster reception and ultimately contributing to the brand's decline. The Vagabond featured a hatchback design that was considered avant-garde for its time, but failed to find favor among consumers. Many buyers were accustomed to traditional sedan styles and found the hatchback concept unappealing. The overall silhouette of the Vagabond was bulky and unrefined. Its awkward proportions and hefty build made it visually less attractive compared to sleeker models from competing brands. Despite attempts to introduce modernity, the Vagabond's design lacked the elegance and sophistication that post-war consumers were starting to demand from automobiles. The Vagabond was equipped with a 3.6-liter inline-six engine that produced a modest 120 horsepower. This power level was insufficient for a car of its size, leading to sluggish performance that disappointed buyers seeking a more dynamic driving experience. The underwhelming engine performance meant the Vagabond struggled with acceleration, making it feel heavy and cumbersome on the road. This lack of power detracted from the driving experience and made it less competitive against peers with more powerful options. The bulky build and underpowered engine combined to create a driving experience that was less than enjoyable. Handling was cumbersome, making it difficult to maneuver in tight spaces or during city driving. The car's size, combined with its heavy feel, contributed to a less comfortable ride. Its suspension did not effectively absorb road imperfections, leading to a rougher driving experience that did not appeal to those looking for comfort in their post-war vehicles. The Fraser Vagabond was introduced during a time when the American automotive market was dominated by larger manufacturers that offered more appealing designs, better performance, and established reputations. Competing models like the Chevrolet Style Line and Plymouth Special Deluxe provided buyers with more attractive and reliable options. The Vagabond's unique but awkward design did not resonate with buyers, leading to poor sales. As American consumers gravitated toward more conventional and powerful vehicles, the Vagabond failed to make a lasting impression in the crowded marketplace. The negative reception of the Vagabond contributed to the overall decline of Fraser as a brand. The company struggled with production issues and competition from more successful automakers, which ultimately led to its demise shortly after the Vagabond's release. The 1948 Fraser Vagabond stands as an example of a car that tried to be innovative, but ultimately failed to meet the expectations of the post-war market. Its awkward hatchback design, underpowered engine, and bulky build made it unappealing compared to the more refined and powerful offerings from competitors. The Vagabond's struggle to find a place in the automotive landscape of its time highlights the challenges faced by manufacturers attempting to innovate in a rapidly evolving market. Number 10. The 1949 Studebaker Land Cruiser was an ambitious attempt by Studebaker to blend luxury with off-road capability in a post-war market that was beginning to prioritize both comfort and utility. However, this model ultimately fell short in several key areas, leading to its poor reception among consumers. The Land Cruiser was marketed as both a luxury vehicle and an off-road capable car. However, this dual identity resulted in a design that didn't fully satisfy either purpose. Its heavy and boxy form lacked the sleek elegance expected from luxury cars, and it didn't possess the rugged aesthetic associated with true off-road vehicles. The styling of the Land Cruiser was a mix of outdated design cues and clunky proportions. It failed to capture the bold and innovative looks that were becoming popular in the late 1940s, making it less appealing to buyers who were drawn to more modern designs. The Land Cruiser's heavy construction significantly impacted its performance. Weighing in at around 3,500 pounds, the vehicle struggled with acceleration and fuel efficiency, making it less practical for everyday driving. Equipped with a 3.7-liter inline-six engine, the Land Cruiser produced a mere 120 horsepower. This power level was insufficient for a vehicle of its size and intended purpose, leading to disappointing acceleration and overall performance. The combination of its heavy body and underpowered engine made the Land Cruiser difficult to handle, especially in off-road conditions. The lack of agility and responsiveness meant it was not well suited for adventurous driving, which was a key selling point for vehicles claiming off-road capability. The vehicle's suspension struggled to provide a comfortable ride, particularly over rough terrain. Many drivers reported a harsh driving experience, which further detracted from its appeal as both a luxury vehicle and an off-roader. At the time of its release, the automotive market was filled with more focused competitors that better delivered on either luxury or utility. Cars like the Cadillac Series 62 offered true luxury without the compromises seen in the Land Cruiser, while dedicated off-road vehicles were gaining popularity for their ruggedness. The Land Cruiser struggled to find a target audience. Those seeking a luxurious ride were put off by its bulky design and poor handling, while off-road enthusiasts found it lacking in capability and performance. As a result, sales were disappointing. The failure of the Land Cruiser affected Studebaker's reputation, which was already struggling in a competitive market. The model's inability to resonate with consumers contributed to a negative perception of the brand's offerings and hindered its recovery in the post-war era. The 1949 Studebaker Land Cruiser serves as a cautionary tale of automotive design that tried to blend two incompatible worlds, luxury and off-road capability, without succeeding in either. Its heavy body, underpowered engine, and conflicted design philosophy led to poor performance and disappointing sales. Ultimately, the Land Cruiser highlights the importance of clear branding and understanding consumer needs in the highly competitive automotive landscape of the late 1940s. Number 9. The 1941 Dodge Custom Town Sedan was positioned as a family car designed for comfort and spaciousness. However, it fell short of expectations in several key areas, resulting in a less-than-stellar reputation among buyers. The Custom Town Sedan was significant in size, which was intended to offer ample passenger space. However, this large footprint made the vehicle cumbersome, leading to difficulties in maneuverability, especially in urban settings. While it had a classic sedan profile, the overall design lacked excitement. The styling was conservative and failed to capture the attention of buyers looking for more modern or dynamic aesthetics in the early 1940s. With its large size came significant weight, which adversely affected fuel economy. The Custom Town Sedan struggled to deliver satisfactory miles per gallon, making it an impractical choice for cost-conscious families. Equipped with a flathead, six-cylinder engine, the vehicle produced around 95 horsepower. While sufficient for basic driving, it lacked the power and responsiveness that many consumers sought in a family sedan, especially given the car's bulk. The large size and weight of the Custom Town Sedan contributed to its poor handling characteristics. It felt heavy and sluggish, making it less enjoyable to drive compared to more nimble competitors. The sedan's handling was often described as clunky and unresponsive, leading to a driving experience that felt disconnected and uninspiring, which was not what consumers were looking for during this period of automotive innovation. By 1941, other automakers were releasing models with more advanced engineering, better fuel efficiency, and more stylish designs. Cars like the Chevrolet Stylemaster and Ford Super Deluxe were gaining popularity for their combination of performance, comfort, and aesthetics, leaving the Custom Town Sedan feeling outdated and uncompetitive. The reception of the Custom Town Sedan was lukewarm at best, with many potential buyers opting for models that offered better handling, design, and fuel efficiency. The lack of excitement surrounding the vehicle contributed to its struggles in the market. The Custom Town Sedan's failure to resonate with consumers added to Dodge's challenges in the pre-war automotive market. It contributed to a perception of the brand as lagging behind in both innovation and appeal. The 1941 Dodge Custom Town Sedan ultimately failed to meet the needs and desires of its target market. Its oversized dimensions, poor fuel efficiency, and lack of engaging design led to a disappointing driving experience and lackluster sales. This model serves as an example of how automotive design must balance size, performance, and aesthetic appeal to succeed in a competitive landscape. Number 8. The 1949 Packard 8-station sedan was designed to appeal to families seeking luxury and spaciousness. However, despite its prestigious brand name, it ultimately fell short in delivering the quality and performance expected from Packard. The Packard 8 was large, contributing to a hefty curb weight that affected its handling. While its size offered generous interior space, it became a burden in terms of maneuverability, particularly in urban environments. The use of wood paneling on the exterior was intended to enhance the vehicle's upscale image, but it came off as outdated and awkward. Many buyers found the look unappealing and reminiscent of less refined station wagons of earlier eras. The Packard 8 featured a flathead, 8-cylinder engine that produced around 160 horsepower. While adequate, it failed to impress compared to rival offerings from other luxury brands, which often had more powerful and responsive engines. The weight and size of the vehicle resulted in sluggish handling. The driving experience was often described as cumbersome and less engaging, making it difficult for drivers to feel confident on the road. The unique wood paneling and complex mechanics of the Packard 8 contributed to expensive maintenance. Owners often faced high repair bills, particularly as the vehicle aged, diminishing its appeal in the used car market. Many owners reported mechanical issues, which were particularly disappointing given the brand's luxury reputation. Problems with the engine and transmission further undermined consumer confidence. By 1949, Packard faced stiff competition from brands like Cadillac, Lincoln, and even Chevrolet, which offered more modern designs, superior performance, and better value. The Packard 8 struggled to keep pace with the innovations and trends in the post-war automotive market. Critics and consumers often found the Packard 8-station sedan lacking in both luxury and performance. The disjointed design and maintenance challenges led to a lukewarm reception, which impacted sales. As Packard continued to struggle with models like the 8-station sedan, the brand's reputation for luxury began to erode. The failure to innovate and adapt to consumer preferences contributed to a decline in the brand's market position. The 1949 Packard 8-station sedan ultimately failed to live up to the luxurious expectations associated with the Packard name. Its cumbersome design, awkward wood paneling, and disappointing performance combined to create a vehicle that lacked the refinement and appeal necessary for success in a competitive automotive landscape. This model serves as a cautionary tale of how even prestigious brands can falter when they fail to meet evolving consumer demands. Number 7. The 1949 Chevrolet Fastback aimed to capitalize on the post-war consumer demand for stylish and modern vehicles. However, it faced several challenges that hindered its market success and overall reputation. The Fastback featured a distinctive sloped rear roofline that was intended to convey a sense of sportiness and modernity. Unfortunately, this design choice didn't resonate with many buyers, who found the proportions awkward compared to more traditional sedan styles. While other manufacturers were producing streamlined designs that appealed to contemporary tastes, the Fastback's look felt out of place. This resulted in a car that was often seen as unattractive or overly unconventional. The Fastback's weight was a significant drawback. Its heavy construction not only affected handling, but also compromised acceleration and overall driving dynamics, leading to a less engaging driving experience. Coupled with its heft, the Fastback's engine struggled to deliver satisfactory fuel efficiency. As fuel prices rose and consumer awareness of efficiency grew, this became a notable disadvantage for the model. The Fastback faced stiff competition from models that offered better performance, more appealing designs, and improved fuel economy. Competitors like Ford and Plymouth quickly established themselves with more desirable options that captured consumer interest. The combination of its unconventional design and performance shortcomings led to a lukewarm reception. Many buyers opted for more conventional sedans or coupe models that provided a better balance of style and practicality. The Fastback's lackluster performance and awkward styling resulted in disappointing sales numbers. This in turn affected Chevrolet's overall reputation as a forward-thinking automaker in the late 1940s. The failure of the Fastback to connect with consumers may have contributed to a sense of stagnation within Chevrolet's design philosophy during this period, as the company focused on refining existing models rather than exploring new innovations. The 1949 Chevrolet Fastback represents a misstep in the brand's efforts to innovate and captivate a post-war audience. Its unusual design, heavy build, and poor fuel economy combined to create a vehicle that ultimately failed to meet consumer expectations. This model serves as a reminder of the challenges automakers face in balancing style, performance, and consumer demand in an evolving market. Number 6. The 1946 Hudson Commodore was designed as a luxury vehicle intended to appeal to buyers looking for a refined and stylish automobile in the immediate post-war era. However, it quickly became apparent that the Commodore was not living up to its premium label. The Hudson Commodore featured a large and heavy body that many found cumbersome. Its proportions, while reflecting the design norms of the time, lacked the elegance expected from a luxury vehicle. By the time it hit the market, the Commodore's styling felt stale and uninspired compared to the more streamlined designs emerging from competitors. The overall aesthetic failed to impress potential buyers looking for something modern and distinctive. The car's bulkiness contributed to its poor handling characteristics, making it feel clunky and unresponsive on the road. This was a significant drawback for a luxury vehicle that was expected to deliver a smooth and refined driving experience. The available engine options didn't provide the power expected in a luxury car, which further compounded the handling issues. Buyers looking for performance alongside luxury were left disappointed. The Hudson Commodore faced strong competition from more established luxury brands like Cadillac and Lincoln, which offered better performance, innovative features, and superior styling. Unlike its competitors, the Commodore failed to carve out a niche that set it apart. It didn't offer the luxury and prestige that buyers sought, leading to a decline in interest. The combination of bulkiness, outdated design, and poor handling left many consumers unimpressed. Luxury buyers were increasingly drawn to vehicles that offered a blend of performance and style, which the Commodore simply did not provide. As a result, the Commodore struggled to make a significant impact in the luxury market, with many potential buyers opting for alternatives that offered better overall value. The lackluster performance and reception of the Hudson Commodore contributed to the overall decline of Hudson as a competitive force in the automotive market. Its inability to evolve with changing consumer tastes marked a turning point for the brand. Hudson's failure to innovate and meet the demands of luxury buyers during this period played a role in its eventual decline, as it became increasingly difficult for the company to compete with more forward-thinking manufacturers. The 1946 Hudson Commodore stands as an example of how a luxury vehicle can falter when it fails to meet the expectations of its target market. Its bulky design, mediocre performance, and inability to compete with contemporaries highlight the challenges faced by automakers in an evolving post-war landscape. Ultimately, the Commodore's shortcomings reflected a missed opportunity for Hudson to redefine itself as a leader in luxury automobiles. Number 5. The 1949 Packard Super 8 was intended to be a flagship luxury model that embodied elegance and performance. However, it fell short of expectations, struggling to maintain Packard's reputation as a premium brand in a changing automotive landscape. The Super 8 featured an oversized and heavy design that many considered bloated. Its proportions made it less appealing compared to the sleeker silhouettes of competing luxury vehicles. While it carried classic Packard styling elements, the overall look was beginning to feel dated by the late 1940s, failing to captivate buyers who were gravitating towards more modern designs. The weight and size of the Super 8 negatively impacted its handling characteristics. Drivers reported a cumbersome driving experience, with sluggish responses that detracted from the luxury experience expected in such a high-end model. Despite being marketed as a powerful luxury car, the engine performance did not meet the high expectations set by competitors, leading to dissatisfaction among consumers seeking a thrilling driving experience. The Super 8 faced intense competition from more modern luxury vehicles from brands like Cadillac and Lincoln, which boasted advanced features and a more dynamic driving experience. The car failed to distinguish itself in a crowded market, offering neither the luxury nor the innovative technology that buyers were beginning to demand. Priced at a premium, the Super 8 did not offer good value relative to its performance and features. Buyers were less willing to invest in a car that felt bloated and outdated, especially when more appealing options were available at similar or lower prices. As a result, the Super 8 struggled to capture the interest of luxury buyers, who increasingly sought vehicles that combined performance, style, and innovation. The underwhelming performance and reception of the Super 8 were indicative of broader issues within the Packard brand. It highlighted the company's struggle to adapt to changing consumer preferences and market dynamics in the post-war era. The failure of the Super 8 to evolve and meet market demands ultimately contributed to Packard's decline, as it became increasingly difficult for the brand to compete in the luxury segment. The 1949 Packard Super 8 serves as a cautionary tale of how luxury vehicles can falter when they fail to align with market expectations. Its bloated design, poor handling, and inability to compete with more modern offerings highlighted the challenges faced by Packard during a transformative period in the automotive industry. The Super 8's shortcomings not only impacted its own sales, but also reflected a missed opportunity for Packard to maintain its prestige in a rapidly evolving market. Number 4. The 1948 Lincoln Continental aimed to establish itself as a symbol of luxury and elegance following World War II. While it succeeded in delivering a premium feel, the car struggled in several key areas that undermined its appeal and competitiveness in the post-war automotive market. The Continental was known for its impressive size, featuring a long wheelbase and a massive body. While this design was intended to convey prestige, it ultimately made the car unwieldy and difficult to maneuver, particularly in urban settings. The styling, while elegant, began to feel dated as consumers sought sleeker, more contemporary designs in the rapidly evolving automotive landscape of the late 1940s. The large size of the Continental contributed to its sluggish handling characteristics. The car was not designed for nimbleness, and many drivers found it cumbersome to drive, particularly in tight spaces or city traffic. Despite being marketed as a luxury vehicle, the Continental's performance did not match the expectations set by its luxury branding. The engine struggled to deliver the power needed for a car of its weight, leading to disappointing acceleration and responsiveness. The Continental's large size and weight resulted in significantly poor fuel efficiency, a concern for buyers in an era where operating costs were becoming increasingly important. Consumers were beginning to prioritize economical driving experiences, and the Continental did not deliver in this regard. The combination of poor fuel economy and high maintenance costs made the Continental a less attractive option for luxury buyers who were looking for both comfort and value. The Continental faced tough competition from other luxury brands, including Cadillac and Chrysler, which were introducing more modern, efficient, and better performing vehicles. The lack of innovative engineering and features in the Continental made it difficult for the car to stand out in a crowded market. The engineering behind the Continental failed to incorporate many of the modern advancements seen in its competitors, leaving it feeling outdated despite its luxurious positioning. While some consumers appreciated the Continental's luxurious features and classic design, many others were put off by its size, handling, and fuel inefficiency. The car struggled to find a consistent market among luxury buyers who had increasingly diverse preferences. Although it was intended as a symbol of prestige, its size and impracticality led to a perception that it was more of a status symbol than a practical vehicle, which limited its appeal. The 1948 Continental was part of a lineage that would eventually see significant design and engineering improvements in later years. However, its shortcomings during this period overshadowed its contributions to the Lincoln brand. The lessons learned from the 1948 model paved the way for Lincoln to eventually modernize its offerings and better align with consumer expectations in subsequent years. The 1948 Lincoln Continental is a prime example of how luxury cars can falter when they fail to adapt to changing consumer needs and market dynamics. Its oversized design, poor fuel economy, and lack of modern engineering left it struggling to compete in a post-war environment that was increasingly prioritizing efficiency and innovation. While it remains an iconic model in automotive history, the challenges faced by the Continental highlighted the necessity for adaptation and evolution in the luxury segment. Number 3, the 1947 Plymouth Deluxe P15 was intended to be an accessible, budget-friendly sedan in the post-war automotive market. However, it quickly became overshadowed by competitors and the evolving preferences of consumers. The P15 struggled to make a lasting impression due to its dated design and lack of innovation. The P15's styling borrowed heavily from pre-war designs, giving it a dated appearance that failed to resonate with buyers eager for modern aesthetics. By 1947, car buyers were looking for sleek, forward-thinking designs, while the P15 felt like a step backward. The overall look of the P15 was plain and unremarkable, lacking the flair and character seen in other contemporaneous models. This absence of design differentiation made it less appealing to those seeking a vehicle that stood out. The P15 was equipped with a modest engine that offered average performance, but it didn't excite drivers. This underwhelming powertrain failed to match the growing consumer demand for performance and handling in post-war vehicles. The P15 was designed as an economy model, which meant it came with few features that could attract buyers seeking the latest in comfort and technology. As other brands began introducing more advanced amenities, the P15 felt basic and uninviting. In a market filled with innovative and stylish vehicles, the P15 was often compared unfavorably to competitors from Ford, Chevrolet, and others who were introducing more dynamic models with appealing features. Buyers were increasingly expecting not just reliability, but also excitement and style in their cars. The P15's lack of modern design and technology left it struggling to compete in a rapidly evolving market. While the P15 had some loyal customers, overall sales were disappointing as consumers gravitated towards vehicles that offered more in terms of both performance and design. The P15 was often viewed as a car for those who could not afford more desirable models, leading to a perception that it was a second-tier option in the Plymouth lineup. The P15 is often seen as a reflection of Plymouth's challenges during this period, struggling to find its identity amidst a changing automotive landscape. The shortcomings of the P15 eventually prompted Plymouth to rethink its design philosophy and approach, paving the way for more contemporary models in the following years. The 1947 Plymouth Deluxe P15 illustrates how a lack of innovation and an outdated design can hinder a vehicle's success in a competitive market. Its basic features, uninspiring performance, and outdated styling left it unremarkable in a time when consumers were eager for modernity and excitement. While it served its purpose as an affordable option, the P15 ultimately failed to leave a lasting impact on the automotive landscape. Number 2, the 1949 Henry J was introduced by the Kaiser Fraser Corporation as a response to the increasing demand for affordable compact cars in the post-war era. However, it struggled to find its footing in a competitive market dominated by more established manufacturers. The Henry J's compact size was one of its main selling points, but it ultimately became a drawback. Many consumers found the car cramped and lacking in legroom and cargo space, making it impractical for everyday use. The design was utilitarian and lacked any distinctive features or flair. Its plain exterior and simplistic interior did not excite buyers who were looking for something more stylish or modern. Equipped with a modest four-cylinder engine, the Henry J struggled to deliver adequate power. This underwhelming performance made it feel sluggish and inadequate compared to its competitors, which offered more robust engine options. The car was marketed as a budget option, leading to a bare-bones approach that excluded many features that buyers had come to expect. It lacked basic comforts such as improved upholstery, sound insulation, and even options like automatic transmission, making it feel outdated compared to rivals. The compact car market in the late 1940s was beginning to heat up, with competitors like the Chevrolet Fleetline and Ford's offerings gaining traction. The Henry J's lack of power and features made it less attractive in comparison. Buyers were looking for compact cars that offered both affordability and a level of comfort and performance. The Henry J's shortcomings left it unable to meet these evolving expectations, pushing consumers towards alternatives. While the Henry J had some loyal customers, its overall sales figures were disappointing. The combination of its small size and lack of modern features made it a tough sell, especially in a market that was rapidly evolving. Many potential buyers viewed the Henry J as a stripped-down option for those who couldn't afford more desirable models, further cementing its reputation as an inferior choice. The challenges faced by the Henry J contributed to the difficulties of the Kaiser-Fraser Corporation, which struggled to compete with larger automakers. The Henry J became emblematic of the brand's inability to carve out a successful niche in the post-war market. The failure of the Henry J prompted a re-evaluation of Kaiser-Fraser's approach to design and marketing. The company would eventually pivot towards offering more competitive models in an attempt to regain market share. The 1949 Henry J serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of balancing affordability with performance and comfort. Its small size, underpowered engine, and lack of modern amenities left it struggling to find a place in a competitive market that was evolving rapidly. While it aimed to be an affordable option for consumers, the Henry J ultimately fell short, becoming an example of how not to enter the compact car segment. Number 1. The 1941 Mercury 8 was introduced as a mid-range luxury car under the Ford Motor Company. While it initially aimed to appeal to buyers looking for a combination of style and performance, it ultimately fell short of expectations, particularly in the post-war market. By the time the Mercury 8 hit the market, its design felt antiquated. The styling was heavy and bulky, lacking the sleek lines and modern aesthetics that consumers were beginning to favor in the early 1940s. Retained some of the design elements that characterized earlier Mercury models. The overall look did not resonate with buyers seeking something fresh and exciting. The 8 appeared more cumbersome than elegant. The Mercury 8 was known for its large and heavy body, which contributed to its sluggish handling. Many drivers found it difficult to maneuver, especially compared to the lighter, more agile models from competitors. Equipped with a flathead V8 engine, the 8 provided adequate power for its time, but it failed to deliver the performance expected from a luxury vehicle. Buyers were looking for a more dynamic driving experience, and the 8 did not fulfill that promise. As the automotive landscape began to evolve, the Mercury 8 found itself competing against newer models that offered better performance, innovative features, and stylish designs. Post-war buyers were looking for modern cars that combined performance with luxury. The 8's outdated features and lackluster performance made it less appealing compared to rivals such as the Chevrolet Fleetline or the Ford Super Deluxe. While some consumers appreciated the Mercury 8 for its spacious interior and comfort, the overall reception was lukewarm. The car was perceived as too heavy and unrefined for its price point, leading to disappointment among buyers expecting more. Many buyers found themselves drawn to competitors that offered a more compelling combination of style, performance, and modern features, further undermining the 8's sales figures. The Mercury 8's struggles in the market contributed to a decline in the brand's popularity during the post-war years. While Mercury attempted to innovate and revamp its lineup, the 8's reputation as an outdated model lingered. The challenges faced by the 8 served as a lesson for the Mercury brand, prompting a re-evaluation of design and engineering priorities in subsequent models. The company sought to modernize its offerings to regain consumer interest. The 1941 Mercury 8 exemplifies the difficulties faced by automakers in keeping pace with changing consumer preferences and design trends. Its outdated styling, heavy build, and unimpressive performance made it a tough sell in a market that was increasingly favoring modernity and efficiency. Ultimately, the 8's failure to compete with more innovative models led to its decline and left a lasting impact on the Mercury brand's reputation.